to Covering the Fields with your host, Joe Ellison.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Covering the Field, the weekly program that analyzes all sports, handicaps them, and makes predictions. I'm your host, Joe Ellison, and today we're going to talk about the Super Bowl, college basketball, hockey, the NBA, the Olympics, the Daytona 500, and our You Got Hose segment. We'd like to remind you listeners to email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Please give us your feedback, tell us your You Got Hose stories, and visit our coveringthefield.com website daily to check out our many articles and our picks of the day and week. Find us on Twitter at Covering Field. Now, kicking things off this week, I'd like to introduce our football expert, Big Richard Martin. How are you doing today?
Doing great, Joe. Doing great after a great Super Bowl.
So, Big Rich, for anyone who just crawled out from under a rock, we must report that the Super Bowl was last Sunday, and the Los Angeles Rams defeated the Cincinnati Bengals 23-20. What were your impressions about the game?
Well, it was just a great game overall. The Rams defense held up at the end. Great big plays, exciting, great halftime show. I mean, it couldn't have been any better. I thought, I predicted it would be a 3-point Rams win, and bingo.
So I guess you won some money on the game?
I did. I also took the over, and then Odell Beckham went out the first half. Just the turf, monster came up, and he wasn't even tackled. He was on route to having a great Super Bowl. I mean, he started off on fire, and then he just goes out with a knee injury. It was just so sad to see. I just think turf should be just eliminated completely out of the NFL.
Yeah, well, that was unfortunate. He was on pace for a good game. Personally, I thought the Bengals should have won the game. They did blow the beginning and the end. That first quarter, when they went for it on fourth down at the 50-yard line and didn't make it, the Rams immediately went down the field and scored a touchdown. That was a good opportunity to pin the Rams deep. I thought it was way too early to be going for it on fourth down. I thought it was pretty stupid. And when you do stupid things, they usually backfire.
You're right, Joe. That's a big risk that early in the game. But I kind of disagree with you. I don't say that the Bengals should have won. I think they could have won. And, the Rams defense held them. I don't know how many third downs they even got. I mean, they were just they shut them down after 10 minutes into the second half. They played lights out. And, Cooper Kupp goes out and makes an amazing play. I think both teams could have won, but I don't think that the Bengals should have won.
Well, I also looking at the fourth quarter, there was 6 minutes left. Let's say it's about 2016 Bengals, a 3rd and 9, and Tyler Boyd drops the ball.
Right, his first drop of the season. He was talking to Jamar Chase about practice not going to the jugs machine. He said, "Hey, let's go hit the jugs machine." And he goes, "I don't drop balls, boy." What happened? You got a little prideful, and everybody gets a case of the dropsies every now and then. And they had a good season. I mean, just a great season. They have nothing to be ashamed of. Unfortunately, we still have 12 teams that haven't won a Super Bowl, and the Bengals couldn't get over the hump.
Adding on to that, there were really hardly any penalties till the very end. That defensive holding penalty on 3rd and 1 was critical. It gave the Bengals it gave the Rams a first down. Otherwise, it would have been 4th and 1. A possibility for the Bengals maybe to close the game out right there.
But you look at that first play when Higbee pulled Jamie Ramsey by the face mask, and so that was a complete game changer at that point. The whole momentum changed, coming out on fire like that. So calls go both ways throughout the game. One call doesn't make a difference, but I do agree that was definitely ticky-tack, and it definitely looked like, it looked worse than it was from behind. He did grab him, but I think a clutch cup was going to stop anyway. And so, I agree with you. It was a missed call, but I don't think that had, the bounties of the game.
Yeah, it just was unfortunate. It was the only touchdown Cincinnati had given up in the fourth quarter, the entire playoffs. And it was helped by a penalty. But still, Cincinnati had a chance down 3 with a minute left. They get down to the 50-yard line, 3rd and 1, and they run Samaje Perine, who gets stuffed for no gain. I thought that was dumb. Joe Mixon was averaging 5 yards per rush. Perine's final stat line, 2 rushes, 0 yards. Mixon was the guy who they needed to give the ball to at that
Right.
point.
You want to give it to Mixon and you want to get it away from Aaron Donald. I mean, that's the best player in the NFL. They ran right at him.
Mhm.
I would go as far away as I could from that guy if I needed 1 yard. And he came up big. And I think deserving of the MVP for the defense for sure. His defensive play.
Yeah, I thought the Cincinnati coaches outsmarted themselves right there, trying to be too sneaky. But obviously, yes, the Rams, I'll give credit to them, holding Cincinnati to no score from 10 minutes left in the third quarter for the entire rest of the game.
Right.
That
You
was
can't
impressive.
say they should have lost. I mean, they could have won, but we'll say this, Joe. Your picks were jolting good because you did take Cincinnati and the under. So congratulations. Good pick.
Yes, I did nail it. Everybody who listened and go to the cash window. Of course, I was going to mention it was the 8th straight time the team that lost the coin toss won the Super Bowl. So if we can keep that in mind next time.
Oh, yeah, like my opening
going.
prop kick. You know, like I told you, they're not going to be able to kick it out with that new football. They hit it 5 yards in the end zone, and I got hosed. There was no one in the end zone to take it out.
You got hosed.
Well, the point spread opened at 4.5, went as low as 3.5, but there was a mixed extra point by the Rams when they were up 13-3. If everything else stayed the same, the final score would have been Rams 24-20. Any thoughts on that?
Well, one of my nieces, she hit the 3-0 on the squares, so if that would have hit, she would have missed both of those. So she got whoever had 3-0 hit both at the halftime and at the end of the game if you were doing the squares. So she's very happy that we had Ray Finkel holding the ball for him.
Indeed. So, yes, the total went off to 49, went under. We can congratulate Cooper Kupp. The 2 TDs was the MVP. You wanted Aaron Donald, obviously. He was 12-1, I believe.
He was 6-1, Joe, to win the MVP. 55% of the time, like I mentioned last week, it goes to the quarterback. But Matthew Stafford did throw 2 interceptions, and I think that might have cost him any votes he got. But I actually went after because I had Aaron Donald at 16-1 as my long shot pick for $10. That'd have been $160 if Aaron Donald gets the MVP. And I went over how the MVP goes. I actually did some research on that, and there are 16 riders that the NFL picks that are undisclosed. No one knows who they are except for the NFL, and they make their picks. And also, the public can pick online on NFL.com. You can make your pick, and that covers 4 picks. So there's a total of 20 picks for the MVP. And as you know, they want to get the vote out as soon as they can so they can give the MVP to the person had the MVP real quick during the conclusion of the game. And I think that a lot of people made their picks before Aaron Donald made those 2 outstanding plays, because how can you say he's not the MVP when he definitely won the game at the end of the game by himself?
I wouldn't have argued Aaron Donald winning it one bit. They could have had co-MVPs. I wouldn't argue that either.
Right. The last time that happened was when your Dallas Cowboys, when you had Randy White and Ed Too Jones both had co-MVPs. But you said it's a vote, so it had been 10-10 for it to be co-MVP. So, we don't know who the writers are and the public picked, and you can't argue Cooper Clutch making that play at the end. Everybody knew he was getting the ball, and they still couldn't stop him. So, well deserved.
Okay. Well, we can also congratulate 36-year-old head coach Sean McVay, youngest ever to win the Super Bowl. Offensive lineman Andrew Whitworth, the Walter Payton Man of the Year at 40 years old, the oldest starter to win a Super Bowl. Safety Eric Weddle, who came out of retirement just for the 4 playoff games. He'd been out of the game for 2 years. He actually played well for those 4 games. And especially our starting guard, Austin Corbett from Reed High School in Sparks, who was a walk-on at Nevada, a real Cinderella story.
Well, he has a nice Super Bowl ring right now to show it. So,
Yeah. And now Kevin O'Connell is headed off to Minnesota as head coach. He's the offensive coordinator.
Right, and that shows you that the Rams are going to be a little bit in a spot here this year, losing their offensive coordinator. And, he has such a coaching tree. How old did you say he was? 36? And
36
he
years
also
old.
has four underneath him. He has Matt LaFleur out of Green Bay, Zach Taylor, of course, he played against in Cincinnati, the Chargers, Brandon Stanley, and Kevin O'Connor. So four people have come up after him and are doing great. So what a tree! And right now, what are they saying that might not come back? He might retire, and I think that's just a money play because right now he's making $8.5 million compared to $15 million a year. Bill Belichick, and if you look at his coaching staffs and what they're doing throughout the NFL, they're going to have to pay that guy.
Well, Belichick did beat him 3 years ago in the Super Bowl, so maybe he should get paid a little more for now. Retiring at 36 years old is a little far-fetched.
Well, they're going to have to replace their offensive coordinator, and Thomas Brown, who's their assistant coach and also running back coach, he is also in line for the Minnesota offensive coordinator. And, the Rams better jump on him soon, give him a paycheck, and get him as the offensive coordinator because he is actually the assistant to the coaching staff for the Rams. So it would be hard for them to lose both those guys. Raheem Morris, the defensive coordinator, is also staying with the Rams. So that's good.
So going to some betting stats, according to the American Gaming Association, would you venture to guess how many Americans and how much money was bet on the Super Bowl? Now that includes people making casual wagers with friends or relatives, office pools, sports books, and illegal bookmakers.
So these are every bet, including illegal bets. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, 112 million people watched the Super Bowl. That's up 14% from last year, and is also the fifth most watched show in the last 5 years. It's the most watched TV program. So, if 112 million people are betted, I'm going to say maybe 500 million, Joe.
That's a bit much. 31.5 million Americans bet. $7.6 billion. And when I factor that out, that was an average of about $250 per person. So that's a little higher than I expected, actually.
Well, did you bet $250, Joe?
No, I bet a little less than that.
Okay.
But I won.
I know. They say
I
Kanye bet $1 million himself, so he made up for your $250 that you didn't.
I think I was somewhere in the 150 range, but I was up there. So yes, the amount of people is up 35% from last year. The money is up 78% from last year. That has a lot to do with 10 more states you can actually legally bet in now. Last year compared to this year in the Super Bowl, and 30 plus states plus the District of Columbia offer legal gambling now. So, and 180 million were bet inside the sports books. Quite a bit.
Quite a bit of money was riding on that game, and I don't think, even though if you lost, I don't think anybody lost. What a great season! Those playoffs were just awesome throughout the whole year. Everything was exciting. Didn't see too many blowouts, and everything seemed close going down in the end. So, NFL looks great.
Well, we can move on to some of those other NFL subjects. Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers won his fourth most valuable player award last week. Tom Brady finishing second. Cooper Kupp actually got a vote. That's who I would have voted for, Cooper Kupp. Amazing season, leading in receiving, yards, and touchdowns. Tennessee coach Mike Vrabel won the Coach of the Year. As much as I like Vrabel, I would have voted for Las Vegas's Rich Bisaccia, who got that team somehow into the playoffs. Any thoughts on any of the voting that went on there?
Well, Andrew Whitworth won the Walter Payton. We thought it was going to go to Alvin Kamara, maybe, as the Walter Payton Award winner. But no, Alvin Whitworth won it, well-deservingly. Does a lot of stuff for the Boys and Girls Club in Cincinnati. Actually, one of the Detroit linebackers he talked to after one of his games, he went and talked to him, and he remembered that he took time on his day off, to come talk to the Boys and Girls Club. He does a lot of stuff in Louisiana. And he does a lot of great stuff in L.A. So congratulations to him. Well-deserved. He looked really good with that Walter Payton on his jersey.
Yeah. Brought to our attention by our Covering the Field special reporter, Luis, Commissioner Roger Goodell knew Alvin Kamara was wanted by the police and going to be arrested after the Pro Bowl in Las Vegas, and he still let him play anyway. That was according to a New York Post article. What do you think of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, no way that he should have been allowed to play. It's an honor to play in the NFL. It's even a more honor to play in the Pro Bowl. You're getting paid millions of dollars, and when you do something stupid like that, you shouldn't be able to play in the game, that's for sure.
Yeah, so Goodell is a little shady in his own way, obviously. Another note, Arizona quarterback Kyler Murray has deleted all his Cardinal social media accounts. The Cardinals say he should just grow up. And what are your thoughts on that situation?
Well, Kyler Murray, he's in his 4th year of his contract, so the 5th year is optional. So this is his money. He wants to make the money. He is the franchise player. We all know, if anybody follows the Broncos, if you don't have a quarterback, you're not going to the playoffs. And so Kyler Murray is an electric player. He's an outstanding player. But the one thing that caught my eye at the end of the game against the Rams, the last minute 5, he told Colt McCoy, "You're going out there. I'm not going out there." And Colt McCoy had to go finish the game for him. Shows immaturity and a lack of leadership. You stay with your team, and so that does not look good on him as a team player. But I'm telling you right now, Kyler Murray is what you want to build your future on in Arizona. So they better give him a contract, or he's going to be playing football for somebody else.
That'll be an interesting situation to watch for sure. Last and certainly not least, if you needed even more evidence that games can be influenced or even fixed in the NFL, ex-Dolphin head coach Brian Flores, in his class action lawsuit against the NFL, Miami, Denver, New York Giants, claims that he was offered $100,000 by Miami owner Stephen Ross in 2019 for each loss so that the Dolphins could secure better draft picks. Have you seen anything on that?
Absolutely. I went back after these allegations. I looked in December of 2019. Miami Dolphins went 2-2. So did he get $200,000? If he didn't get the $200,000, then there's no smoking gun. You can't make allegations that you were going to get $200,000. So did he get the money or not? Can you prove that he got the money? That year, the 2020 draft, which obviously the owner was trying to fold games for, he wanted to draft better. They were already drafted 5th. So that's when they got Tua, and the Chargers went with Hubert after that. That was also the year of Joe Burrow. So maybe he was trying to get Joe Burrow because maybe they would have been playing in the Super Bowl. They had Joe Burrow.
Maybe they would have, but it just goes to show that there is some money being tossed around among these teams. When you're making your bet, you just really never know what's going on.
Well, we hope that everything's on the up and up. We like to think that way, but these kind of allegations definitely makes you raise your eyebrows.
Mm-hmm. And Brian Flores interviewed, but doesn't have a job now in the NFL. What a surprise, huh?
Yeah, when you sue the owners, it's kind of hard to get a job.
Well, great job, Big Rich, and thank you.
All right. Well, it's been a great football season. We're looking forward to doing some basketball in the future, NCAA basketball. We can make back any money that we lost on the NFL. Let's get it back in the NCAA AA coming up soon.
Our next guest today is our winter sports fan, Gator Gates. How are things going today, Gator?
Oh, I'm excited, Joe. Thank you.
Winter Olympics are in full swing. How are the Americans doing so far?
We got 8 medals. We got 8 gold medals, and it's not too bad considering we had a slow start. We did get a gold in the U.S. men's slope style with Alexander Hall. Men's figure skating, we got Chin. Bobsled, we got gold and silver with Humphreys and what was their name? Miners Taylor. Yep. And then we also got, let's see what else we got. We got mixed aerials and freestyle skiing. You went to USA. We got in snowboarding. We got 3 of them, Joe. We got snowboard cross for the women. Went to Jake Bellis.
Jacob Ellis.
Correct. And then women's half pipe. We got Chloe Kim. And in mixed snowboard cross went to USA as well. And then one more, Joe, which was really an interesting story. Erin Jackson won the women's 500 meters. Now, if you remember right, she was the girl that did not qualify for the Olympics. But Brittany Bowie gave up her spot so that Jackson could be in the Olympics. So that was a really nice story.
Yes, Jackson won the 500-meter speed skating, becoming the first Black woman to win an individual event at the Winter Olympics. Great for her. Can be an inspiration for others. Kaylee Humphries, you mentioned, 2.5 months after becoming a U.S. citizen, won the monobob. She won gold in 2010 and 14 in two-man for Canada.
Mhm.
Yes. And Jacob Ellis, you mentioned, famously got the silver medal in 2006 when she should have got gold in snowboard cross. She won gold last week, then teamed with Nick Baumgartner to win the mixed team event at 36 years old and in her fifth Olympics. She's the oldest ever female gold medal winner. Baumgartner, incidentally, is 40, but there's been a curler that was in his 50s that won back in 1924. So
Yeah.
credit to Jacob Ellis and all our American winners.
Yeah, we had, like I said, we started off slow, but I think we finished strong. Winter Olympics is not our very strong suit, but we're getting better at it.
Yeah. We're not done yet. Still
Yeah.
some more events.
Correct.
I'd like to also congratulate 24-year-old Kobe Stevenson, who won silver in big air men's free skiing. Stevenson nearly died in a car crash 6 years ago, fracturing the skull, suffering multiple other injuries. Pretty amazing story there. Coming ever so close to medaling, 35-year-old half-pipe snowboarder Shaun White in his fifth Olympics, who finished fourth. Still, 3 gold medals, 2 fourth-place finishes. Pretty amazing. And sadly, I guess the U.S. men's hockey team, they didn't win. What happened to them?
Oh, heartbreaking, Joe. The men's hockey, they went undefeated during the round robin rounds. And then last night, they had their quarterfinal against Slovakia. They were up 2-1 into the third period. Now, Joe, in the third period, USA had a 5-on-3, and they didn't score on that 5-on-3. They could have made it 3-1. But what happened was that Slovakia got a goal in the last minute to tie it 3-3, and USA lost, like I said, a heartbreaker in the shootout. But congratulations to them. They were the youngest team in the whole tournament, and they proved that they were more than willing to put their bodies out there for USA.
Undefeated in the round robin play, but lost in the quarterfinals. That is a shame, but we'll give them credit for being young and maybe better luck 4 years from now.
No, it's shocking. I mean, I know that they lost that way, but still shocking. Very, very great effort.
Looking at the remaining upcoming events, what should we be looking forward to? And do you have any predictions?
Okay. Well, Joe, right now I'm sitting at 7-10 out of 17 events, but I still got some going. In ice hockey, I got Canada for the women's and the men, and the women's play tonight. And curling, I got Sweden for the girls, and I got Canada for the men's. Now, that kind of scares me with Canada. Great Britain, I saw them. They might beat Canada. I'm a little worried about that one. And then Camilla Viles.
Valieva?
Yes, that figure skater. Did pick her to win. Then she gets disqualified. Now she's going to play now. But, Joe, here's the thing. If she does medal, they're not going to have a ceremony for her. So I don't know. I think it's all sad, to be honest.
Yeah, that's something not to look forward to. She is the heavy favorite, the Russian 15-year-old Kamila Valieva in figure skating. On Christmas, she tested positive for a banned substance, more specifically a heart medication that improves blood flow and endurance. And after appealing, the Court of Arbitration for Sport decided she is being allowed to compete. What do you think of that?
Well, the bottom line for me, Joe, is that none of the other girls can have the steroids, so it's unfair.
Yeah.
That's bottom line for me.
I think it's because she's 15 years old. Obviously, adults are responsible for putting these substances into per body. I don't care if you're hit with a bow and arrow from a passing pygmy, you're still responsible for what's in your body. You should not be able to compete. This also will affect the team figure skating results, which Russia won and the United States got silver. Down the road, we can find out that maybe the United States actually got a gold in that event.
Yeah.
So, and if she wins, she just might not actually get a medal down the road. This could take months, maybe years. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. I agree. I agree with you totally.
So, but as far as tonight's game, the USA, Canada, if you can catch the show early enough, 8 p.m. our time here on the West Coast, Wednesday night, USA and Canada, that should be a war.
It'd be, yeah, of course, great. It's always great to watch those two teams. They don't like each other too much.
No, USA is the defending champion. And Canada's a little upset about that. And they've met each other numerous times in exhibitions coming up to the Olympics. So they know each other super well.
Exactly. No secrets.
Moving on to the National Hockey League, Gator, in the last 11 weeks, your predictions are an astounding 63-15. What are your picks for the upcoming week?
Okay, Joe. Well, I do have 3 of them for Thursday. I got St. Louis over Montreal, Winnipeg over Seattle, and Washington over Philadelphia. Saturday, I have 2 of them, Colorado over Buffalo and Boston over Ottawa. Now, Ottawa is playing a little bit better nowadays, so be careful with them. New York Islanders on Sunday, I got New York Islanders over Montreal, Columbus over Buffalo, and Dallas over Arizona. Monday, I got 1 game, Toronto over Montreal, and Tuesday, I got St. Louis playing Philly.
Okay, well, hopefully you keep up your amazing streak.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
What other stories have you been following in the NHL?
Okay, well, this one, Joe, I really love. Monday, Evander Kane returned to San Jose, and the crowd booed every time that he touched the puck. He did get 4 shots, but he didn't get any points. Sad thing is Edmonton still did win 3-0. But, Joe, I'm so jealous. I wish I was at that game. I would have been booing louder than anybody there. Especially at that arena, Joe, that echo that's there at the Shark Tank. I could just imagine.
Yes, it was unfortunate San Jose lost. Any other stories? Like, how about Sidney Crosby?
Oh, beautiful. Crosby got his 500th goal last night. That ties him. Well, he's 24th with Lanny McDonald. And there is 2 active players that do have 500 goals. The other one would be Ovechkin.
Sure.
Now, here's the one that really got me, Joe, because when I was playing hockey, I used to get a lot of assists too, but there are 15 players with 500 goals and 850 assists. I thought that was a little high. It kind of amazed me that there were so many.
Right. Crosby, great players, won the cup a couple times. For Vegas, Jack Eichel is playing again.
Yes.
That trade they made with Buffalo, he had the surgery that Buffalo would not allow him to have. So
he's coming back tonight, Joe. They actually have to play the Avalanche, the highlight reel Avalanche, but they did lose last night to Dallas.
Okay. And Nathan McKinnon is back for the Avalanche. So
yes.
Good for him. A sad note for me, being a Boston Bruin fan, Tuukka Rask retiring. What was behind that? He came back and started playing again, and then.
But yeah, he did have an injury, and then he was trying to come back. Joe, he did play in a few games down in the AAA in the minor league. He did play a couple times up here. Went back down. I don't know. I don't know if it's just he's up there, Joe. And what's really sad is at the beginning of the year I picked Boston to win the Stanley Cup, and that was thinking that Tuukka Rask would take them all the way. Now, they'll make the playoffs, or, they're kind of, if the playoffs started today, they'd be out of it, to be honest with you.
I think they'd be the 8th seed that I saw.
Oh, so right after okay.
They'd be the final team to get in.
Yeah, but so I don't, I'm not saying they have bad goalies. I just don't know if they have great goalies. That's
Yeah,
when
they don't. Well, there is the trade deadline coming up. They might be able to get one, but Rask obviously had off-season hip surgery, and he's just not up to par. He's not recouping very well from the games that he's playing.
Yeah, and I'm sure his family, wife, I'm sure they have is in their head too. I'm
Absolutely. His family is in Finland waiting for him.
sure.
So, and in Seattle, Seattle television.
Yeah, Joe, they're gonna Thursday. They're gonna have the NHL first all black televised TV broadcast. They're gonna be playing against Winnipeg. So congratulations to the NHL. They're kind of one of the last, I think, as far as the color barrier compared to the other three sports.
Yes, that's right. So Gator, this Sunday is the Super Bowl of NASCAR racing.
Oh yeah.
Great American Race, Daytona 500. What are the big stories?
Okay. Well, today, Wednesday, we got qualifying, and we have the duels tomorrow, Thursday. That's at 4 o'clock on Fox Sports 1. Now,
That'll set the rest of the field.
right, correct. The first two top qualifiers will go to be first and second on pole to start the race. Then the other drivers will be in these duels. And how they do that is if you win the duel, in one set, you'll be in third position. The second place car will be in fifth position, and so on, etc. So when the second duel comes, whoever wins that one, they will be the fourth car. And then the second place car who in that race would be the fourth, fifth, sixth car, and so on and so on.
Right. So we'll have the field set tomorrow.
Correct. And then Sunday is the race. That's at 12:30 on Fox. Now, Joe, Floyd Mayweather, he will make his NASCAR debut at the Daytona this week, and the team name is the Money Racing Team. He will be the 50 car.
Okay, something to look forward to there. I just think it's a little crazy the way the season starts. The most important race is the very first one. I can't think of another sport where they do that.
No, I don't. I can't think of that either, Joe. It is kind of interesting, kind of neat. I think something different. But now the good thing about Daytona and Las Vegas is that the books put out a lot of props, and they are excellent props. It's like you can take Chevy, Toyota, or Ford to win. All three of them are at a plus 180. There are 15 drivers that you can bet for finishing positions. They'll say that is this driver going to be in the top 10, and you can say yes or no, over and under. The winning car numbers. This one, the past winner will win this one, yes and no. And the other one that I really like is the total cautions. It's 8.5. Is it going to be over and under? Daytona, that's very iffy sometimes. You usually get a lot of wrecks right at the end if it goes into those extra times. And one more thing, Joe, don't forget about those matchups.
Right. The easiest way to win is the matchups, the one-on-one driver matchups. It could be very unpredictable this year. It's the new next-gen car for the first year. We don't really know how they're going to run everybody out on the same track on a super speedway like this.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there are lots of wrecks also. So
well, that's why I do like Kyle Busch. I'm going to predict that Kyle Busch wins this race. The reason is just because what you just said, all these wrecks that they always have. Kyle Busch, I've seen him drive out of some crazy stuff, and I out of anybody, I would trust him to be able to get through them.
Okay, and hopefully no rain. There's a long history of that. I haven't seen the weather report. Hopefully we can get through that. That can also cause some wrecks and a really long race.
Yes, it's sure. Yeah, you're exactly right, Joe.
Yes, and especially watch the last few laps because that's when they're really racing, and that's when you're really going to get the big one, they call it, the big race. Yes. Last week was the second week of the Six Nations Rugby competition. Gator, you predicted all three games correctly. What happened in those games?
Okay, well, Wales played Scotland and Wales won 20-17. They were the underdog. France, they did beat Ireland 30-24. I did see that game, and I thought Ireland played an excellent game, even though they lost. And Italy lost to England 33-0. That was at a -25, and just like we predicted, Joe, that England was going to cover that.
Yeah. I got 2 out of 3. I took Scotland. You're right. You hit all 3. One thing I did mention to notice that the 2 teams that the lines moved the previous week in their favor, they're the ones who covered. And sure enough, this week, France and England's lines moved, and France and England both covered. And so that's 4-0 so far in this championship.
Now, Joe, I have to say to everybody that if I have a question about rugby, I go to Joe. I don't go to Google. Why? Just like Marc the Shark said, why do you need Google when you got Joe?
Thanks. I really appreciate it. And there are no games this week.
No, the next one will be next Saturday.
How are the odds looking for the championship?
Okay, well, we still have France as the favorite at a -190. Scotland is at 20-1, and I think that's a very fair price. And Italy, the long shot, and of course, they're at 1,500.
Yes, Italy always gets the wooden spoon, last place. So
Yeah, I like that, Joe. That's funny.
yeah.
Now, see, I don't know. I like Wales. That's why I took Wales this week. They got Wales at 40-1. Do you think that's worth it, Joe? Did you put a couple bucks on that?
Well, seeing as though they won last year, I think teams will be gunning for them. So I'm going to lean towards somebody else. I'm going to make a prediction next week. We will have predictions next week on the Six Nations. France is the only team that's 2-0.
Yeah.
Italy is the only team that's 0-2. All of the other ones have lost and won a game. So
France is beatable, though, Joe.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Everybody's beatable in this tournament.
In this tournament, yes.
Unless you're playing Italy. then you win every time.
That's not fair, Joe. they almost got lucky.
They might have come close to winning a game the last 5 years, maybe. No, it doesn't matter. Well, excellent job, Gator, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, everybody.
Our next guest today is our NBA analyst, Marc the Shark Sabella. How are you feeling today, Marc?
I'm doing great, Joe. How are you?
Terrific. The NBA trade deadline has come and gone, and from what I can tell, there was only one big trade, but it was really, really big. What happened?
Yeah, it's what I call, Joe, the big trade or the big shell game. And the reason why I'm going to call it that is because all week long, Joe, you'll recall this, we heard from the Big Mouse and from other places that, and from Steve Nash himself, that the Brooklyn Nets had no desire to trade James Harden. And on the Philly side, you kept hearing stories about Ben Simmons we want to get an all-star or we're not going to be able to trade him. You also heard the story that it was reported that Brooklyn had rebuffed Philly's initial offers of trading for those two. So what do you think happens, Joe? They went ahead and did the deal anyways. Brooklyn traded James Harden and 100-year-old Paul Millsap over to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and Andre Drummond.
And 2 first-round draft picks.
And a couple of first-round draft picks, yes. So I guess my question to you, Joe, is do we really believe what head coaches are saying and what managers are saying and other folks? Or should we just stick with our intuition that deal was probably going to go ahead and happen?
Yeah, I don't trust anybody in the NBA especially. And I would say they'll do anything to lower the trade value of certain players and hire their own. So
Exactly.
Yes, and it ended up being a decent trade, I guess.
Yeah, I guess time will tell. Harden is still out right now. He's not playing still. And Simmons has yet to play his first game with Philly. I'm guessing he's going to play in the next game or so. But what kind of shape is he in anyways? He's been sitting out for, since the playoff loss last year. How much in shape is he going to be, and how much help is he going to be immediately? I guess is the big question.
Yeah, I think in the long run, Brooklyn's going to end up having the better end of this deal. They got more players, more draft picks. And, trading within the division is kind of a crazy idea. Anyway, I think Philly gave up a little too much.
I think so too. It seems like it was a little too much.
Yes. So skipping on to your picks, you went 5-2 last week. Pretty darn good. Do you have some predictions for next week's action?
Yes, Joe. For next week, it's, as you know, the All-Star game's coming up on Sunday, so it's a very light schedule this week. One of the things I wanted to mention right off the bat is Big Rich reminded me that Memphis is the hottest team in the association. Not that I really needed to know that because I've been following them the whole year, but I just wanted to give him a little shout out. Basically, to all our listeners, you got to just take Memphis right now in every single game until they show that they're human and they'll cool off. So that's kind of a futures type of thing, I guess I'm looking at right now. But in terms of specific games, I really only circled 2 this week because there really isn't a whole lot of them. And I also have the All-Star game that I wanted to talk to you about. On Thursday, the February the 17th, I'm sorry, Philadelphia, the aforementioned Philadelphia Sixers, who we were just talking about, 34-23 are at Milwaukee, 26-23. That line is actually out for tomorrow, so I don't have to do any guesswork. -6 for Milwaukee. Giannis is coming off a huge 50-plus point game this week. Harden, as we know, is still out, Joe, and he won't play in the All-Star game. And a little side note to that was hilarious. I don't know what we're going to call them, but I guess we'll call them the Dynamite Station. They, with Chuck and Kenny Smith and all of them, they did the actual draft for the All-Star game, and LeBron is on one side of the picture and KD's on the other one. And so they drafted the starters, basically, and they went down the line of 15 players. So it came down to Gobert and Harden as the last pick, and neither guy wanted him. And basically Barkley was just saying, well, hey, KD, you don't want that guy. He just got traded from your team anyways. So KD was stone-faced, but LeBron just couldn't help it and was just busting up through the whole thing. He ended up picking up Harden, but he'll sit out in that game, and they'll pick a reserve for that. So back to the game at hand, Philadelphia-Milwaukee, I'm going to go ahead and say, with Harden still out, I'm going to go ahead and say, even though Embiid is playing out of his mind this year, Milwaukee giving 6, I'm going to go ahead and give the 6 and take Milwaukee on that. And then the same day, Washington, 26-30 at Brooklyn, a -4. We don't know if Ben Simmons is going to play his first game then. I'm assuming he will, but again, how effective is he going to be? Brooklyn is 30-27, and again, they have a better road record than home record, one of the many teams this year. Brooklyn is going to probably go off. There is no line for this yet, but -4. I'm going to say Brooklyn is going to have Simmons, and they're going to win by 4 in that game. And then you got your All-Star game, Joe, on Sunday, Durant versus LeBron. And The only thing I would tell you, and I think you and I kind of calculated this, take the over in the game. Obviously, there's never any defense being played in there. So, and I think you and I also figured out what, 310, anything 310 and lower, take the over.
Right. They have the new format since the tragic death of Kobe Bryant. Whatever the score is at the end of the third quarter, you will add 24 points to the highest score. And when that team reaches that number, the game is over. In 2020, it was 133 at the end of the third. So the final was 157, 155. Last year, it was 146 to 125, already 271 points at the end of the third quarter. A final of 170 to 150. So, yeah, 312, 311, bet the over.
Yes, absolutely. So not only is there no defense being played, but, the books have no incentive to put a low number there. So, and the betting public likes to take the overs and things anyways. They don't want to see boring, stale stuff anyway. So what number is high enough, I guess? One little side note is I found tickets for the game that are starting at $415 a pop and then are going up. It's just, really? That's crazy.
It's not a real game.
No, of course not.
All you have to do is just drive to the bucket and you'll score 2 points every single time. Just slam dunk it. No one's going to stop you. When they miss is like when they're shooting 3-pointers. So there'll be a number of those.
Exactly, Joe.
Yeah.
You know what they should do is maybe think about doing the 24 points for Kobe's legacy and then start bringing in the fans out off into the court in the fourth quarter and let them start playing.
That'd be interesting. I'm all for that. Incidentally, LeBron's teams, since we've had the new format where players pick the teams, LeBron's teams are 4-0. So yes, he knows how to pick his players. So I'm going to say LeBron and over is the play. Historically, that's what it is.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, Joe. Obviously, you and I are not in the business of picking exhibition games, but I do like the stats that back that. Mm-hmm. And also, how can you go wrong when Giannis is your first pick? And even though you got Harden, last, who cares? It's like you got somebody else.
He was replaced by another Cleveland player that should have been on the All-Star team in the first place. Can't remember who it was. So he'll be replaced very well.
Yes, absolutely, Joe.
Incidentally, the everything will happen on Sunday. 3-point shooting contest, skills contest, first half of the football game. The slam dunk contest will be at halftime, and then the second half. So
that's interesting, Joe. Is that the first time the NBA is trying it all in one day, or
without a doubt?
Yes. Interesting. Very interesting.
It'll be good. And I am a little disappointed that the All-Star game is after the trade deadline. I think hockey's got a better concept of doing it later in the season, but such is life. You're going to have to deal with it.
Absolutely, Joe. Hey, one other thing before I leave you. Back to the trades that almost happened. The Lakers had almost traded Russell Westbrook to Houston for John Wall. But all week long, we had heard that wasn't going to happen, especially on the Lakers side, that they were standing pat with their team. On the Houston side, yeah, they've been wanting to ship John Wall anyways, but that deal was going to actually happen right before the end of the deadline, except for Houston asked for too much. They asked for additional compensation and draft picks and things like that. And so they nixed the deal. Basically, your team there is all the old guys and a couple of young guys, and nobody is. It's just a sinking ship in La La Land over there. So good thing the Rams won the Super Bowl so that they can kind of take some of the pressure off of the Lakers there.
Yeah, the Dodgers did okay too, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Mark, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Joe. Have a good one.
Our last guest, we're going to talk some college basketball with handicapper Ronnie McKinnon. How's it going today, Ronnie?
Joe, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. So, what's been going on lately in college hoops?
Well, Joe, in the men's, we had all the way back to last Wednesday after our show, number 6 Houston lost to SMU, who was not ranked in the top 25. Houston actually on Saturday lost again to an unranked team, Memphis. So Houston has actually dropped out of the top 10. So they didn't have a very good week. Number 9 Texas Tech lost to Oklahoma by 15 points, actually. Oklahoma also not ranked in the top 25. Number 3 Purdue lost to Michigan 82-58. Michigan also not ranked. Then yesterday we had number 10 Villanova beating number 8 Providence. It was a good game, 89-84. And then also last night on Tuesday, number 4 Kentucky lost to number 16 Tennessee 76-63. So the top 10 kind of moved around a bunch. Gonzaga moved up to number 1, and then Auburn, Arizona, Kentucky, Purdue, Kansas, Baylor, Providence moved into the top 10. Duke is number 9, Villanova at 10. They also moved into the top 10. And then, like I said before, Houston was number 6, and they dropped out of the top 10 to number 14. Texas Tech was number 9, and they dropped out of the top 10 to number 11.
Yes. Arkansas was number 1. Auburn was number 1, lost to Arkansas in overtime. So Gonzaga moving up.
That's right. That's right. And oh yeah, I did. I forgot to mention that game, didn't I? Okay. That's why. Yeah, that's why they moved down to number 2, and then Gonzaga's up to 1.
Right. On the women's side.
Right. On the women's side, we had last Wednesday also Villanova beat Connecticut 72-69. That was a good game. Villanova not ranked in the women's top 25. Then we had the Thursday, we had Michigan lost to Michigan State by 6 points. Michigan State also not ranked in the top 25. Virginia actually ended up forfeiting to Louisville. There was travel issues, mechanical, aircraft, staffing issues, and all that. They couldn't even fly and get to the game. So then we had Friday, we had Arizona, number 6, lost to Arizona State by 4 points. Arizona State not ranked. We had number 4 Michigan, again, lost to Northwestern by 2, 71-69 in 2 overtimes. Northwestern not ranked in the top 25. And then Monday, Indiana lost to Nebraska, the Cornhuskers, 72-55. That loss is not reflected yet in the top 10 because that game was Monday night. It still shows Indiana at number 5. South Carolina, Stanford, Louisville, still the top 3. Then North Carolina State, Indiana, Iowa State. Baylor has moved up to 7 from number 10. Then we have Arizona, Michigan, and Connecticut has dropped down to number 10 from number 8.
Okay. And you're going to have some picks. Obviously, we don't have any spreads. You're going to have some predictions this week.
Right, I will. I'll put them on late Friday for Saturday's games, unless I do some Sunday games, and then I'll put it on early Saturday. Yeah, I went. I did a 3-3 this last week so it was
not terrible, not great.
Not terrible, but not great. And but anyway, yeah, I'll put some picks on them.
Okay. Ronnie, you're a massive baseball fan. Spring training was supposed to start today. what's happening in Major
Yeah,
League Baseball.
today was the day it was supposed to start, and of course we're not there. Real quick before that, I just wanted to mention last Wednesday night, former outfielder and designated hitter Jeremy Giambi, of course the brother of Jason Giambi, died at the age of 47 years old. And he played for your Oakland A's. He also had played for KC and Philadelphia and Boston. So,
Do you think that might be steroids related?
they didn't say yet, and I haven't heard anything. So it's possible, but we can't say that until we know for sure. And
Well, Jason Giambi, I'm pretty sure, was doing them, so why not
Sure.
his brother, right?
Sure, that's probably true, but I don't know that for sure, and I don't want to
Mhm.
put that out there. But anyway, it's pretty sad, and
Yes, very sad.
I thought I'd mention that before we get into the strike. But actually, that Saturday meeting, the bargaining session in New York City, it was good. The owners have moved several things towards the Players Association. And I won't get into detail on every single one of these things. There's a lot of information, but the four top things were obviously all had to do with money, and which is important and the most important thing. But there's some movement on the minimum salary, also pre-arbitration bonus pools, the competitive balance tax, and service time. And all four of those things are big to the players, and it showed in the details that the owners are moving towards there, trying to get a deal going, and we'll see what happens. Again, there's a lot of detail with all these things, but the bottom line is that it's looking better. But now I haven't heard anything since Saturday, so that's where we're at there. And it's interesting too. I was checking out some other information, and prior to the negotiation, that Major League Baseball is already the only major North American sport without a salary cap, and also guaranteed contracts that have been worth up to $300 million, and with no limits on the length of contract players can sign. So. There's a lot of other differences too between the baseball and the other sports. But anyway, there's a little bit of movement, so we'll call that cool.
Yeah, that work stoppage, 77 days now as of today, the second longest they've ever had. Opening day's supposed to be March 31st, and they say they need 3 weeks of workouts before that. So maybe March 10th would be a target date, perhaps.
Correct, and that's up to 3 weeks of spring training, and of course it's not happening yet. We'll see what goes on here day by day. Hopefully, we'll hear some more news.
Okay, and finally, you're also a huge lover of horse racing. Are there any important races coming up?
There are, Joe, at my place where I grew up, Santa Anita, down in Arcadia, California, in Southern California. Some graded stakes races. There'll be the grade 1 on March 5th. And I'm going to make some picks, and I will put them on for some of those grade 1 races that day. The grade 1 is the highest caliber races, which includes the Triple Crown Series and Breeders' Cup races. So there's also grade 2 and 3, but grade 1's the big one. And so again, March 5th at Santa Anita on a Saturday. It's a big cap day there, and so it'll be I'll be putting some picks on there for especially that Santa Anita handicap. It's 4-year-olds and up, and it's a 1.25 mile race, and the purse is $650,000. So anyway, I'll be putting that on the site.
All right. Thank you, Ronnie, for the info.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Sponsored by MXC Media. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time for the moments we've all been waiting for, the stories that make us furious about bets that appeared surely to be winners but in the end, something went horribly wrong. They ended up being losers. It's a segment we affectionately call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
So, Gator, do you have a You Got Hosed story this week?
Well, yeah, Joe. I was going to try to find something in the Super Bowl, but everything in the Super Bowl seems like you got hosed because almost everything went under, and I know everybody took over and stuff. But I did see this story. ESPN released this story Monday. But on September 5th, Argentina went to Sao Paulo to play Brazil in a World Cup qualifying match. Now, these two teams are at the top of the South American table and have already qualified for Qatar. But in that game, the referee stopped play 7 minutes into the match with the score tied 0-0. Now, the Brazilian health officials walked onto the pitch and removed 4 English-based Argentinian players that allegedly didn't comply with the COVID-19 restrictions. Now, Brazil's Football Confederation had been fined $593,000 by FIFA's disciplinary commission for infringement related to order and security. Now, the Argentina Football Association, they also got fined $269,000 for failing to comply with its obligations in relations to order and security. Plus, 4 of their players were also handed a 2-match international ban. Now, as far as the books go, Joe, they did start that game and they did play that game in their eyes, so we're going to grade that game 0-0. So if you had any side, either Brazil or Argentina, I would have to say you got hosed.
Yeah, or maybe the over.
Or the over, correct.
You didn't get that either.
Exactly, Joe. I'm sure you got a you got hosed story, no, Joe?
Well, ironically, I did get hosed betting the an under in the Super Bowl. The 9.5 points in the first quarter, besides the aforementioned stupidity I mentioned, going for it on 4th down. They call it analytics. Anal idiots. I don't know. But with 6 minutes remaining, my bet still looked good. 2.5 minutes left. Since he's on their own 11-yard line, it looks really good. 20-yard gain, okay, 13-yard gain, and then boom, 46-yard gain to Jamar Chase, beats supposed all-pro Jalen Ramsey. Now I'm in trouble. Minute 30 left. Clock is ticking. All I need is one running clock play to run out the time. First down, just run it. Something. No, incomplete pass. Second down, no, incomplete pass. Third down, just run it. Complete it. No, they don't score. They don't get a first down. They don't do anything. The clock never ticks. 3 straight incompletions. 28 seconds left. They kick a field goal. 7-3. I get hosed by half a point.
No, yeah, you sure did get hosed. I don't know what the thinking was there either, Joe. That was crazy.
Just run the ball one time.
Just run the ball, exactly.
Catch it.
Anything. Yeah, I know.
You got hosed.
So that's all for this week's show. I'd like to thank my guests, Big Richard Martin, Rock and Ronnie McKinnon, Marc the Shark Sabella, and Gator Gates, our producer, our engineer, our editor, our junior IT tech, Caden Martin, and everyone for listening. We'd like you to visit our Covering the Field website to check out our many articles and our picks of the day and week. We'd like to remind you listeners to email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Give us your feedback, your You Got Hosed moments, and any other comments you'd like to give us, and find us on Twitter at Covering Field. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show, and you'll hear us again next week on another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field, a CMworldservices and the Sage production.